Hey guys, it's Tim and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 13th of July 2022 to talk about everything that went down tonight on AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest Week 1. You gotta remember that. Fyter Fest Week 1. They say week instead of night because Fyter Fest is also, I guess you could say, the branding for Rampage this week as well. Tonight's show does go. I thought it was, if for the most part, it was good. I had some criticisms, as I always do. I mean, every show's going to have some criticisms. A little more than normal, maybe ish, kinda. But I'll say right now, that main event, fantastic main event. Got new tag team champions. Shocked me. Did not expect to see new tag team champions. I was fully expecting Young Bucks to win, FTR to come out and go, hey, we got these belts. Now we want those. If we can hold these ROH titles, that won't, maybe that wouldn't make sense. Okay. I think we would have needed to. I think the big match at All Out should have been Bucks and FTR. Bucks are no longer the tag team champions. So that match now maybe not possible. Cincinnati says, I like Keith Lee's speech after the match. I didn't see that. I have not seen it yet. So please no spoilers or anything because I have not seen it. I will go and watch it after this. Literally, they ran over time. As soon as the show ended, like the match ended, they rushed so they can at least get a pose. And then, young Sheldon. But with that, I want to say thank you for joining me here. If you're watching live, twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited. Or if you're watching and listening later, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, or on podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor, iHeartRadio, Google Pod, Apple Pod, and so much more. If you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, just like Maxed Puma recently did, or you can be like, bruh from Mile 4 and subscribe with Amazon Prime. Because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. All you got to do is take that Amazon Prime account, you take that Twitch account, you link them together, bada bing, bada boom, your Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games. And right now, there's like 30 free games that you can download and claim and everything today only. Yesterday and today only for Prime Day. Games like Grid Legends, games like Need for Speed Heat, the Mass Effect collection, and so much more. You also get free stuff for games like Fall Guys, Valorant, New World, Grand Theft Auto Online, and so much more. And the one thing that never changes, one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. But on the flip side, if you are a follower of us on YouTube, you can check us out over there and hit that join button to become a channel member. As a channel member, early access to news, early access to podcast episodes, early access to non-news videos, and so much more. You can also get all of that, but more directly support us by heading over to patreon.com/PW Unlimited. Let me look something up really quickly. While we look this up, also remember, you can help us out by heading over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether that is a new game, whether that is an old game, whether that is a free game. Buy something. Claim something. Get the bucks. Get whatever you want. Get those things. And use the code PW Unlimited at checkout to support us right here. Doesn't cost you anything extra. All you gotta do is use that code at checkout either on the Epic Game Store on your computer or on the Fortnite, the Rocket League, or the Fall Guys launcher on your PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, or Microsoft Xbox. So, as far as this show does go, it was like AEW uploaded most of that main event to YouTube, which is very interesting. Let's see. Wow, they uploaded. How long was the main event? The main event, not more than 10 minutes. They've got almost an 11. They have 10 minutes and 51 seconds. They put the whole main event straight on. Okay, I think I might know why. Let me look something up. So they've done this before when they went over time and some markets got the show cut early and they missed parts of the match. So they put the whole match on. Let me see something. Tony Khan. Let's see if Tony Khan tweeted anything about why they uploaded the entire match. No, he just kept tweeting out tonight. Justified, this is awesome chance. Justified, this is awesome chance. If AEW said anything, because it's rare that they do this, but they put the entire match up on YouTube, and not just, oh, they did it because Keith Lee's speech. No, the Keith Lee speech was a separate video, a separate 3-minute video. So that's interesting as well. But AEW tweeted, no reasoning. They just did. And it was also interesting. Oh, wait, never mind. I see this here. So, yeah, they didn't give a reason as to why they uploaded this to YouTube, basically the entire match. Crazy. Very, very interesting. But as far as this show does go, the show did kick off Orange Cassidy and Wardlow, the TBS Championship. TNT title. TNT Championship. And I have some qualms with this match because it's like, we want Wardlow to be taken very serious. But when you're in a match and somebody's going to threaten to use a chainsaw against you, this match just went totally non-serious. Like, and it affects Wardlow. That reflects badly on Wardlow because he's booked in this match. And if you're the booker saying, well, we're going to make Wardlow look strong and we're going to keep Wardlow looking good and this and that, no. And the other thing that I don't understand is they keep saying, oh, Orange Cassidy's got a great record. He's got the best record, win-loss record of anybody that's not held a championship here in AEW. And I go, okay, cool. But didn't this guy 2.5 weeks ago just lose the title match to Will Ospreay? What the hell? Like, justified Orange Cassidy getting this title match tonight? Beating Tony Nese on Rampage? That's why he deserves this title match? No. Wardlow's been the champ for a week. I get it. You want a challenger. You want him to face somebody. But there was no reasoning and no build for why Orange Cassidy got this title match. And I'm going to go look at the rankings really fast. And they said it, excuse me. They did say it tonight on Dynamite, though. You know, that TBS championship, it's kind of been the open challenge championship. So it's like any motherfucker could challenge. Any guy, anyone. Doesn't matter if you're ranked. And someone's car alarm's going off. Sorry about that. Doesn't matter if you're ranked. Doesn't matter if you got a bunch of losses. And Orange Cassidy, I'm not saying he's got a bunch of losses. But Orange Cassidy literally 2.5 weeks ago, and I got the rankings here, 2.5 weeks ago. So Orange Cassidy is ranked 4th, but still, 2.5 weeks ago, lost to Will Ospreay with the U.S. title on the line. Also, the new thing AEW is doing is so we don't get too over hypercritical of these rankings anymore. They don't put the wrestlers' rankings, like their win-loss record, on the rankings. It just says where they're placed. So it says Orange Cassidy went up this week to 4th place. But they don't show us the rankings, like the numbers. You know, 0-5, 5-0, 6-3. Because we've learned in the past that shit don't matter. There'll be guys that are 5-0, 7-1, but somebody 4-0 is higher than them. And I've seen this before. 7-1, lower than 4-0, it was 5-0. I think it was Moxley was 7-1, or I could be wrong there. There was somebody 7-1, somebody else 5-0, and the 5-0 was higher than the person 7-1. That ain't right. That ain't right. I could see putting somebody 6-0 above a 7-1, maybe. Not 5-0 over a 7-1. And I think that, they announced these rankings things and they don't want to pull back on them and say we're not doing them anymore because that just proves what everybody said, that the rankings were dumb from the get-go. And so now they're just making the rankings mean less. And it's like, again, what did Orange Cassidy do to earn this match? Let's go check his last couple of matches really fast. Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy matches. So if I could padding his stats. He lost to Will Ospreay. And then, doesn't matter as far as the Battle Royal goes. That doesn't count. Then he beat Ethan Page on Dynamite. And he beat Tony Nese last week on Rampage. That's 2 wins. But it's like, there's no build. And that's the one thing that I don't like about AEW. There's no build to make title matches seem important. Where WWE shifts titles around too often, AEW too often gives random people title matches with no build. And so how are we supposed to be excited for, oh, man, this guy, Here's the one thing I don't like with the TBS or the TNT title. No one ever actually, for the most part, makes a challenge. It's usually just, Tony Khan has signed. Orange Cassidy will be challenging Wardlow for the title next week. It's like, okay, why? Did Orange Cassidy go to Tony Khan and say, hey, I got 2 big wins? Well, not big wins. I mean, Tony needs to need the page. Aren't really that big. I got 2 wins over the last week. Can I have a title shot? We don't even hear stuff like that. Like, even if Excalibur would have gone like, last week, Orange Cassidy went to Tony Khan and asked him for a shot at the TNT title, and Tony Khan made the match official. And it's like, that would make a little more sense, but it's just to randomly book these matches. How are we supposed to be invested? How are we supposed to care about these title matches when there's no build? Nothing at all. And what are you going to say? Oh, you got to make sure you watch Control Center on YouTube. No. What about Dark Elevation? Well, they didn't do anything for those matches, for this match on those shows this week, so that didn't matter either, because someone told me that. I was texting with a guy, or messaging on Twitter or whatever, somebody, and they were like, well, they usually use Dark and Dark Elevation to build up these matches. Like, well, they didn't with this one this week, so your theory right there, out the window. Out the window. One quick second. All right, so as far as this match does go, right at the bell, Orange Cassidy did his hands in the pocket shtick. So Wardlow straight up tore the pockets off his jeans. Wardlow fired up and pulled the straps down. Orange Cassidy mocked him by pulling them back up. And I'm just like, this is Wardlow, who we're supposed to think is this big, bad, beaten-ass machine, who we're supposed to take very serious, who literally said, I want to be taken so seriously that I only want to beat the real champion. I only want to beat champions at the top of their game. I don't want to be an interim champion because that's not being the best. And I'm like, okay, so you're just going to do comedy stuff with Orange Cassidy. You're literally going to tell us that this guy wants to be taken serious and he wants to do all of these things to be a serious top tier champion. And then you do this. So then best friends start doing their wacky, stupid shit, including pulling out a chainsaw. And I go, what? A chainsaw? You gonna cut this man in half? He goes, not Bryce Remsburg. Who was no, it might have been Bryce Remsburg as the referee in this. Yeah, it was Bryce Remsburg as the referee in this match. And he's like, how about you take your chainsaw and your little friend over there and you're both out of here? And they're like, hey, but we have our manager cards this week. He's like, I don't care, you're out of here. And I'm like, good. Get these guys out of here. because, well, they're trying to chop somebody in half. Like, come on. This was the dumbest stuff. Finally, best friends are gone, and the match ends up being good. But we had all this wacky nonsense to start it off that just shouldn't have been there at all. That shouldn't have been there at all. Wardlow intercepts an orange punch. Well, he takes an orange punch first, rolls in the ring, intercepts one. And Wardlow somehow realized, hey, Danhausen might be under the ring. I'm going to look under there really fast. And he pulls Danhausen out from under the ring. And I'm like, oh, my God. No, it's not over. I thought it was over. It's not over. Danhausen goes like he's going to curse Wardlow. And he goes, oh, never mind. I'm scared of you. Just let me go on, run away. Let me go on, run away. And Danhausen takes off. This distraction, though, led to Orange Cassidy hitting the orange punch. Back in the ring, Wardlow recovers. Take out Orange Cassidy with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex. This looked great. Literally, Orange Cassidy jumped at him to do the orange punch, and he grabs him in a bear hug. But instead of, like, putting him down and then doing the belly-to-belly, he just keeps holding on to him and just 2, 3, and throws him, which, god dang, that's strength, because it's not like a regular belly-to-belly where Orange Cassidy's on the ground and he can, like, push off with his feet for momentum to help with the flip, the throw, whatever. No. It's all Wardlow throwing him with his full strength. We go to break, and when we come back, Orange Cassidy started a comeback with a chop block to Wardlow's knee. He wanted the beach break, but Wardlow was too strong for him. Orange reversed a powerbomb into a DDT and hit a spinning one to follow that up as well, but only sent Wardlow down for a 1. Wardlow avoided the orange punch and hit the F10, and Orange Cassidy kicks out, and they let us know this is the first person to ever kick out of the F10. So that should be a big deal, right? That should be a big deal, right? It's not. When you have somebody where their finish is as protected as Wardlow, you should also beat that person. And Orange Cassidy didn't win tonight. So Orange Cassidy kicking out of Wardlow's finish was a misused spot. Very much so. Because it did nothing for nobody. It did bad for Wardlow, because now we know that spot is not impenetrable. We know that move is no longer the end-all be-all. And we also know that move is no longer the end-all be-all because A, Orange Cassidy kicked out, and B, it didn't lead to Orange Cassidy beating him, saying, not only did I kick out, but I'm better than you. You kicked out and then what? Still got your ass beat. So it's like, oh, now we got to think, did Wardlow do the move wrong? Did Orange Cassidy just stupid that they let Orange Cassidy? And I'm not saying it's stupid that Orange Cassidy kicked out of the F10. I'm saying it's stupid that Orange Cassidy kicked out of the F10 and they did nothing to make that an actual legit spot. David says the F10 is almost like the F5, except you don't go down with that person. It's the same goddamn move. There is no difference. I mean, I guess that is the difference. He doesn't fall with them. Which, again, why would you call that an F10? Because I would call it an F1. Because going down with them, you're actually also pulling them down. So that's slamming them even harder. So calling it an F10 is supposed to be saying that it's even more deadly than the F5. But when you just throw them and then they fall, whatever. It's no different than a flapjack. But when you throw them and you fall with them, Brock is throwing them and at the same time pulling them down for more momentum, more power, more strength, harder move. I've always thought that this move was dumb to be called the F10 to start with. But there was a diving DDT at one point from Orange Cassidy. Wardlow caught him, but Orange then recovered and hit a stunner, an orange punch, and a beach break for a close near fall. Wardlow then caught another orange punch, hit a power bomb, only one, no symphony, and just pins Orange Cassidy. Like, really? It's not even like he had to try hard to beat Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy kicked out of his move, and then he just beats him with a power bomb. Like, such a wasted opportunity. Such a wasted opportunity here. Then talk about Pac's defense of the All-Atlantic Championship against Shota Umino from Rev Pro that aired last night on Dark. Jericho then came down all by himself. He said that he stands in front of the crowd tonight as not Chris Jericho, Le Champion. Not Chris Jericho, the Wizard. Not Chris Jericho, the rock star. But Chris Jericho, the living legend. And Eddie Kingston's superior. Jericho brought up Kingston's friendship. For his friendships, and so we've dispatched of all your people, basically. Even last week with Ruby Soho. Maybe you need to keep a better eye on your women. He said, as far as your challenge of a barbed wire anywhere match, well, Kingston, you may be a mark for Onita, Sabu, and Terry Funk, but I was the first person to ever win a barbed wire match in Canada at the ripe old age of 22 years old, and I'll beat you again. Well, I'll beat you. Jericho thinks that people underestimate him because of his massive accomplishments and his movie star good looks. He said, quote, next week, you won't be able to underestimate Chris Jericho because you'll be facing the Painmaker. The Painmaker, undefeated in All Elite Wrestling. Jericho said that this would be the final fight in the saga of Kingston and Jericho. When it's over, Kingston will crawl back into his hole of addiction and depression. He will never be at Jericho's level ever. The only thing that will be, he said, the only thing that will wash away Jericho's sins is a massive wave of blood. Quote, Kingston, you're not a liar. You're a loser. My first question was, what's the difference between regular Chris Jericho that fought in blood and guts and Chris Jericho, the Painmaker? Same goddamn guy. It's the same guy. What are we supposed to think? It's your alter ego, your other persona. You got superpowers when you're the Painmaker. Again, dumb. Fucking AEW starting this show off with a lot of dumb shit. I always thought it was dumb when Jericho's like, well, this week I'm the Painmaker, and this week I'm the Wizard, and this week I'm the Champion. And I'm like, come on. You're just Chris freaking Jericho. You're just Chris freaking Jericho. What other company does this crap? Now, I get it if, like, you're somebody that works two characters. Like, take Christopher Daniels, for example, back in the day. He was himself Christopher Daniels, but then he would put on the mask, put on the orange tights, and be Curry Man. But not Chris Jericho the Curry Man, or Christopher Daniels the Curry Man. Curry Man, completely separate character. You do that and you're two different wrestlers on a show, that's different. It's not like, well, no, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it right now. Well, when Mick Foley was in hardcore matches, he ended up being Cactus Jack. You got a problem with that? A little bit, but not. I'm going to get the comparison there. I know someone's going to say it probably. I do have a little bit of a problem with that, but it's like, whatever, okay. I'm just bitching to bitch probably, now that I think about it. But I do think it's kind of dumb. It's like, really? But at least when Foley did it, he tried to make it seem like we knew, but they're different characters. They're different people. This is just, I'm Chris Jericho, the Painmaker. I'm Chris Jericho, the Champion. I'm Chris Jericho, the Wizard. You know, whatever. After commercial break, Eddie Kingston was backstage with Ortiz and Ruby Soho. He pointed out how he'd hurt them all. And he said that he wanted the most violent version of Jericho possible. As far as what a barbed wire anywhere match is, I guess it's what we think. There's just going to be barbed wire scattered all over ringside and maybe even in the ring. Now, do we get barbed wire ropes? That's the big question. Do we get barbed wire ropes, or are we just going to get barbed wire boards all around ringside? Oh, and apparently JAS supposed to be suspended up high in a shark cage because Warner Media came to them and said, hey, can we do a tie-in with Shark Week? William Regal joined commentaries. We had a championship contender match. Jon Moxley took on Konosuke Takeshita. This match was great. But, and I'm going to probably get some flack for this, I thought the match was a little sloppy and reckless at times. Moxley busted his nose open, and he busted Takeshita up. They went back and forth with the shoulder tackles early on and some chops. Moxley got the upper hand for the first time with a big lariat and followed it up with a straight pile driver right onto Takeshita's head. Like he dropped this guy with the pile driver right on his head. You know, you see a pile driver, right? Say this is the guy's legs are falling in, and you're like, usually your head falls like right here, so like your quads or your whatever catch the head, and then you don't hit. No, his head was down, and he spiked him. Moxley spiked him basically. Give me one quick second. I need to respond. I'm not going to answer this call, but 1 second, guys. Kids are calling. I tell them I'm live and I can't answer right now. 1 second. Okay. So let's do this. Hopefully it's not an emergency. If it's an emergency, then I'll have to take the call. But I'll wait for a text to come in and see what's going on. But as far as this match does go, where were we? Pile driver, and they eventually end up on the apron where Takeshita took Moxley out with a apron German suplex. On the way back to the ring, however, Moxley leveled Takeshita with a boot and maintained control through a break. Takeshita was busted open. Moxley, too, bleeding from the nose. Back from commercial, Takeshita started a comeback with his signature leaping clothesline. There was a straight drop brainbuster from Takeshita that got a 2. Moxley got his knees up on a frog splash and cradled Takeshita for a 2 before applying a rear naked choke. He transitioned to do a cross arm breaker, forcing Takeshita to roll to the ropes to force the break. Takeshita sent Moxley to the floor with a Hurricane Rana and followed it up with a great Tope Con Grillo. Back inside the ring, there was a frog splash, followed by a near fall. Moxley went for a sleeper, and Takeshita turned it into a Blue Thunder Bomb. He did both of Sammy's moves in this match, Takeshita did. Both a haluva kick in the corner and a Blue Thunder Bomb. And this was a weird, really weird spot. He hits the Blue Thunder Bomb. Both men collapse. They're laying there, right? Moxley's legs are then on top of Takeshita. And all of a sudden, the ref looks around and then just goes, 1, 2, and both men sit up. Commentary goes, well, that was a pin for Takeshita, or at least a pin attempt because he had the offensive move there last. And they go, really? What? No. He was completely under Jon Moxley's body. There is no way that was a pin attempt for Takeshita at all. There's also a weird ref counting it. It just didn't make any sense anyways, but Moxley blocked a jumping knee and spiked Takeshita with the paradigm shift. He wanted to go for the Death Rider, but Takeshita flipped out of it and hit a German suplex bridge for a near fall. Moxley fought out of a straight jacket German and hit a Death Rider. Then he hit a hammer and anvil elbow, followed by a bulldog choke, and picked up the victory. So there we go. Moxley defeats Takeshita. Michael Wallace says the same thing me and my friend were saying earlier. How come people complain when WWE does their championship contender matches, but no one complains when AEW does a championship eliminator match? It's the exact same thing. Exactly, my guy. Exactly. But in AEW, like in WWE, we see the champions get beat, and then that leads to the title match and this and that or whatever. In AEW, they don't really, and I think the reason people may not, I'm not trying to defend it, I think the reason that people may not complain as much with AEW is because it doesn't just lead to a straight rematch. Because in 2022, the only person, and actually this may have been end of 2021, whatever, within the last 6 to 8 months, 8 months, the only person to win one of these eliminator matches, well, that would be what's the word I'm looking for? That would be Riho before she challenged Britt Baker for the title at what is it called? Battle of the Belts. So thank you, Max Puma, for the gifted subscription to Sin Saturday. Sin Saturday, pay it forward. You got a subscription gifted to you, so why not pay it forward to somebody else as well? But I thought this match was really fun. I thought this match was really good. Only a few criticisms were, the whole, Moxley was a little reckless. And then, actually, that was it. That's the only criticism I had. The House of Black had a video air. Brody King said that he'd watched Darby Allin ascend for years. Now, quote, I'm getting mine by taking yours. He attacked Darby at a signing this past weekend. He attacked him at frickin' Zoomies while he's skateboarding, signing autographs. Like, really? You're gonna attack him at a Zoomies? Come on, Zoomies, it's a sacred place. I don't attack him at a Zoomies by skateboarding, jumping off damn clothing racks with his board and wiping out. Now here's something, and I know I'm complaining a lot, but this is something I kind of feel that AEW does too much, and it really makes this just seem too scripted. So in pro wrestling, we always see somebody in the ring, and then they get interrupted. Also, we get the announcements of so-and-so will speak tonight. But I never like when those two things cross. I never like it when someone's just in the ring. Or first off, they said Christian Cage will speak tonight on Dynamite. And so I'm waiting for Christian to come out. Now come the Varsity Blondes, right? And the Varsity Blondes come out, and Christian interrupts them. And I go, okay, wait, what? If this was supposed to be, if we're supposed to think this is real, then what was Christian originally supposed to do? What was Christian supposed to speak about? If in real life his plan was always to cut off the Varsity Blondes, then he knew that Varsity Blondes were getting time. So why not announce also ahead of time that the Varsity Blondes were getting TV time? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to announce ahead of time that Christian Cage is going to speak, and then all he does is interrupt somebody. It just doesn't make any sense. And I guess Christian's new gimmick also is talking bad about people's dead dads. He did it about Jungle Boy, and he did it about Brian Pillman Jr. The Varsity Blondes were in the ring with Griff Garrison dressed like he's ready to wrestle. And I guess he was, well, we know now he's faced Luchasaurus. Christian came out and said, just like Jungle Boy, Brian Pillman had a father who was a legend, but in Christian's opinion, he was average at best. He thinks that Pillman Sr. would be appalled knowing that the last contribution he had to this business, his son, Pillman Jr. Christian said that there was something about Griff Garrison, though, that annoyed him. He then looked at Luchasaurus and goes, that picture up there of him, look at him in the ring. Doesn't he look like Jungle Boy to you? And then all of a sudden, Luchasaurus went, oh, and he jumps in the ring and beats the crap out of Griff Garrison. So what? He says the word Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus, monster out of him. Stupid. And basically, he just beats the ever-loving tar piss out of Griff Garrison. Luchasaurus manhandles him and crushes him with a German suplex. He beat him up against the ring post on the outside, and then a chokeslam followed. Christian then looked at him and said, do it again, one more time. And Luchasaurus obliged before locking on the tar pit, his version of a modified snare trap, and picked up the win. After the match, Luchasaurus continued the attack on Griff Garrison. Pillman tried to save his partner, but Luchasaurus headbutted him before chokeslamming him onto Griff Garrison, who was sitting on the announce table, not the announce table, the timekeeper's table. It didn't break, so they did it again, and he slammed him through it, but this time he pushed him through it, basically. Make sure that table was a break-in. Because, well, it didn't break the first time. Then in the back, Daniel Garcia, 2.0 were there, talking about how they're going to have to be locked in a shark cage. Yet, all these guys, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, Moxley, they could just run free. They're worried about us interfering, but his boys, they can do what they want. Give us 2 cages up there. No one asked me if I want. And I think it was Angelo Parker's like, no one asked me if I want to be in a shark cage. I don't like heights. This is too dangerous. And then Garcia, they walk off, 2.0 leave. And Garcia's like, you know what? I don't care about this. I don't care about the cage, shark cage. What I care about is Wheeler Yuta and beating his ass because he's a cheap imitation of me. And I'm going to beat him for his Ring of Honor Pure Championship at Death Before Dishonor. So then we go to the back, and Tony Schiavone's standing there with Hangman Page, and it literally felt like they had one shot to get this done. And freaking Hangman's on his phone, and it was literally like, so Hangman Page, because like Hangman's on his phone. Tony Schiavone goes, so Hangman. He's like, oh, let me put my phone away real fast. All right, action. Oh, are we rolling? Okay, never mind. He asked him about losing the Battle Royale. He's like, yeah, I would have liked to win that and get the title shot, but it didn't happen. All of a sudden, he's like, but I'm not too mad. And all of a sudden, John Silver and Alex Reynolds walked up and they go, "No, you're not mad. Well, we're mad. And we want to challenge House of Black to a match on Rampage." And they go, "Okay." Like, literally, this looked like they went to the back and go, "Hey, Adam, we need you for a segment. We're going to mock this up, and we're going to..." And he's just wearing like a freaking... His hair is up in a bun. He's got a headband around it, wearing a tie-dye T-shirt like he just came out the locker room from a nap or something, on his cell phone, and he's like, "Oh, we're rolling? Okay, sorry, my bad. We got to say Tony Schiavone." This is not good. This is not good. And so they challenge to, is it a 6-man? Is it just a tag team match? They didn't announce it for Rampage because all they announced for Rampage was Jonathan Gresham versus Lee Moriarty for the ROH title, which that's... talk about that in a second. Lucha Brothers Private Party, and they announced the Gun Club will speak on why they turned on the Acclaimed. Now, back to this match really fast. So we have a Ring of Honor pay-per-view coming up, right? A Ring of Honor pay-per-view coming up literally in 10 days. Yet you're going to put the Ring of Honor world title on the line? Jonathan Gresham versus Lee Moriarty on Rampage? 8 days before? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days before? Like, okay, the build to this match sucked anyways, but at least give it to us at the pay-per-view. Now what, are we not going to get a Ring of Honor World Championship match on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view that you've been doing a shit job of building anyways? Doing this match on Rampage makes absolutely no sense. Because it's like, what are you going to do for the pay-per-view? Jonathan Gresham going to beat Lee Moriarty's ass and then somebody else going to come out and challenge him? And then he goes, "Well, I'll face you at the pay-per-view." And little mass. You know? Stupid. As we move forward here. Let's see. As we move forward. Like Claudio Castagnoli against Jake Hager with once again William Regal on commentary for the second time tonight. And JR came out. So we'll go, it's 6 o'clock. Time for JR to come out. So as far as this whole thing with JR only working the second hour of Dynamite, it's because they want JR on Rampage. What I was told is they need to make Rampage feel more important. So they feel like putting JR on Rampage will make it more important, but they don't want JR out there working 3 hours in one night. So JR will work the second hour of Dynamite, and then he'll work the 1 hour Rampage. Like, if the guy's too old to be out there for 3 hours, maybe he shouldn't be out there at all. I don't know. I wasn't told to me that it's because of his age or anything, but I think it's dumb. It's Taz, Schiavone, and Excalibur for the first hour. Then they kick Schiavone out and bring out JR. And it's like, really? Okay. So Claudio hit a running uppercut right as the bell rang and teased a giant swing early on, but Hager escaped to the floor where he took out Claudio with a clothesline. Back in the ring, Claudio countered the Hager bomb and hit a Tiger Feint kick for a 2. He laid in some strikes in the corner, and Hager turned the tables and did the same. They continued to trade some offense and whatnot until Claudio climbed the ropes, and Hager cut him off. This then led to Hager hitting the Hager bomb and getting a 2 off of it before commercial break. Upon return, Claudio landed a springboard uppercut to commence a comeback. He laid in multiple running uppercuts before a drop kick sent Hager to the floor, where, well, he hit yet another running uppercut. A diving crossbody from Claudio also netted him a 2. Claudio gave Hager the giant swing. Then he locked on the sharpshooter. He had Hager beat, but then Hager signaled for 2.0. 2.0 ran down, caused a distraction of the referee. The distraction was enough to allow Hager to hit a Uranagi and a near fall. I just don't get why. I guess that also distracted Claudio a little bit from to get out of the sharpshooter. Hager then went for the ankle lock. Claudio countered it and hit a big back suplex. Went for another sharpshooter, but 2.0 hopped up on the apron, so Claudio took them out. Claudio then hit a pop-up uppercut and the Ricola bomb to pick up the victory. So Claudio defeats Jake Hager. And they really played up throughout this match how these men used to be tag team partners. They used to be very close. They used to be friends. They had over 100 matches together as a tag team back in the day, but never mentioned WWE. So, we got Casey in the building. Cold Cuts Casey with that Prime subscription. No, that Tier 1 subscription for 18 months in a row. What's going on, Casey? I was just with Casey 2 days ago. 2 days ago? 2 days ago. We were at the lake, riding jet skis and whatnot. Had a great time. The Hook was backstage, and he was asked if he was going for a championship at any time since he's undefeated. He didn't say anything. He just walked away. A video package recapped Mayu Yamashida's victory over Thunder Rosa in Japan, non-title. Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm were then backstage. She said Yamashita earned a title match, but in the meantime, Thunderstorm is ready to take on anyone. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter then walked up. Britt said that AEW was a disaster without her as the champion. Rebel came out with a sandbag, referencing sandbagging rumors regarding new Thunder Rosa. And it's like, really? You're going to try and... What sandbagging rumors? From random ass fans who thinks she sandbags? And if you don't know what sandbagging means, it's just, well, you would be like, well, what does sandbagging mean? You don't know what it means, and you're kind of like, this segment makes no sense. Like, what? A lot of people probably don't know what that means. Like, I'm looking up what in wrestling it's actually called, because I want to get the right definition. Here we go. Sandbag in pro wrestling. Sandbag or sandbagging is originally a professional wrestling term to refer to the non-cooperation between competitors over a throw which sees a receiving end wrestler act as dead weight. So basically, it's like if Britt Baker wanted to hip toss Thunder Rosa, but Thunder Rosa dead weighted herself so Britt couldn't get her over. That's sandbagging in wrestling. And I bet you there's a lot of fans that don't understand what that means. And AEW does this often, where they will take insider things that are really insider, that even some like hardcore fans may not realize and understand, and put it on television. It's like, this was so dumb. Because I actually had just one person. It was just one person. One person actually messaged me and goes, what does this even mean? Why does she have a sandbag? Are we going to... I'll read you the message verbatim. Let me pull it up right here. This person says, what does this segment even mean? Why does she have a sandbag? Are we getting some sort of a sandbag match? What is a sandbag match? Literally, that's what the message I got said. Because this person didn't understand what the hell they were trying to say. Or what the hell they were trying to do. Like, are you kidding me? Next up, we had Serena Deeb against Anna Jay. Jay hit some offense early on until Deeb was able to lock her in almost like a stump puller. Jay went the Queen Slayer early on, but Deeb broke out of it and dropped Jay on the ropes. Deeb followed this up with a neck breaker and got a 2. After commercial break, Jay came back with a running takeover and a suplex for a 2. He wanted the Queen Slayer, but Deeb caught Jay in the European clutch for a near fall. Deeb spun Jay around and went for the Deeb tox, but Jay fought out of it. Deeb locked on a wacky submission, almost like an inverted leg Nelson, forcing Jay to escape. Jay then hit a low heel kick, but Deeb cut her off with a dragon screw. Jay surprised Deeb with the Queen Slayer for a nice little dramatic moment, but then Deeb was able to stand right up out of it, and apply the Serenity Lock to pick up the victory. She really was in the Queen Slayer, kind of wriggled and jiggled for a second, and then just whang, stands right up. I'm like, what? After the match, Deeb wouldn't let go of the hold, so Mercedes Martinez would run down, get her off of her, run her off, and there we go. These two will be facing off. Now, here's another thing that they fucked up on tonight. So at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, Death Before Dishonor, it will be Serena Deeb challenging Mercedes Martinez. Yet, when they did the rundown for Death Before Dishonor, they did not mention this match. They mentioned the tag title match. They mentioned the television title match. They mentioned the pure title match. But they did not mention this match. So they quickly said, Excalibur quickly said, here comes Mercedes Martinez. She will be defending her title against Serena Deeb at Death Before Dishonor. He quickly said it. But if you didn't catch that, and then all you know for this pay-per-view is what they did in the rundown, you would not know that this match was happening. Unless like you saw it 2 days ago or whatever on Twitter. Then we're in the back because like in AEW, all the women's segments have to be butted up together. All the women's segments in AEW, always. I say this every week. And again, this proves my point. All the women's segments have to be butted up together in one 30-minute block, if even that. We had the Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm, Britt Baker segment. Then we had the Serena Deeb and a J match. Then we had a Jade Cargill segment where Jade Cargill was there with Stokely Hathaway and the baddies. Jade immediately, Tony, cut the shit. And I'm like, I'm kind of over that catchphrase. It's dumb. Jade said that they aren't afraid of Athena or Chris Statlander. Then she went on to mock Layla Gray for being an interim baddie. Stokely cooled them all off because they were about to argue or whatever. Then said that they'd be watching Statlander and Athena on Rampage. Here said that Layla would never be a baddie. I'm like, they're wrestling on Rampage? Against who? You didn't announce it. Again, all they announced for Rampage. ROH World Title match, Jonathan Gresham, Lee Moriarty. Gun Club will speak. Lucha Bros versus Private Party. So they're going to be watching Athena and Chris Statlander do what on Rampage? Watch Rampage? They're going to watch them watch Rampage? Like, they didn't even announce a match for them for this show. Like, this was the week of bad building stuff up. I'm going to say that right now, but for Tony Khan. And I think I'm not the only one that said this. I've heard other people say this week. He's running himself thin, trying to do too much at once. Tony Khan ain't used to the whole gotta keep building stuff up every single week for big pay-per-view stuff. He had to rush everything for Forbidden Door right after Double or Nothing. Now he's got to rush everything for this Ring of Honor pay-per-view, and then right after that Ring of Honor pay-per-view, he's got about a month to build everything for what's it called? All Out, which they did announce will be in the Now Arena. And soon as that got announced, soon as they announced that, I saw so many people that were at All Out last year in the Now Arena complaining, saying, oh no, this isn't good. You can't get an Uber. You can't get a Lyft. You're going to get stranded. You need to go rent a car. You needed this. You needed that. It's too far out of the city. It's not close to here. It's not close to that. And I'm like, oh man. Yeah, that's not good. And not just like random people on Twitter, but like people within wrestling media complaining that this show is at the Now Arena because Now Arena is not a good located area for AEW running. I get it. It's tradition. It was the Sears Center, now it's Now Arena. Basically, if it was for the Sears Center giving the Young Bucks and Cody all in, there may not be an AEW, but yeah. Anna Jay was backstage. The trainer was checking on her knee when Ty Conti just randomly walks in. And she's like, oh, Anna, are you okay? And she's like, maybe, you shouldn't be focused on the wrong things. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, Ruby Soho, she got her hand slammed in a car door last week. Maybe you need to pick your friends better and make better decisions. I'm like, what does this have to do with anything? What is you now being with the Jericho Association, Appreciation Association, Society, whatever they call them, and doing what you did to Ruby Soho last week have anything to do with Anna Jay? Because Anna Jay has not even, if Anna Jay had been associated with Ruby Soho at all anytime recently, okay, Ty Conti can come in and go, we used to be friends. Not no more. I just took out one of your friends. Okay, that doesn't mean, no. Because Anna Jay had been doing things recently with Chris Statlander and Athena against the baddies. So what is the whole Eddie Kingston and it's like Ruby Soho got brought into all of this because she's friends with Eddie Kingston. And then Ty Conti got brought into all this because she's engaged and she's with Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is in the JAS. Eddie Kingston, Ruby Soho, they're friends. So they wanted to take out one of Eddie Kingston's friends. So she slammed Ruby Soho's hand in a car door. That's a whole other thing for a bad segment where literally Ruby Soho stood there for a whole minute going, "You gonna slam my hand? You gonna slam my hand? You gonna slam my hand? You gonna slam my hand?" And it's like, this makes no sense. Are you recruiting her for the JAS? She's in the Dark Order. This segment is a waste of 5 minutes, if even that, though. But then they redeemed themselves because they gave us an awesome match with a very unexpected finish. This right here was a PWG style main event tag team match. Now, it was weird that they called it what did they call it? Hold on. There was a stupid name that they gave this match. Because AEW trying to be cute with all their stupid, weird names. They called this did not tweet it out? Maybe I didn't. It's like a triple or nothing match is what they called it. They called it a triple or nothing match. Like, what? The hell's a triple or nothing match? It's either a triple threat or trios. What's triple or nothing? Anyways, this match rolled. The rules were 2 in, 1 out. Young Bucks, Swerve in their glory, started off. They wrestled to a stalemate. Swerve and Nick Jackson performed a nice aerobatic exchange. Aerobic exchange. Nick and Starks ended up meeting each other on a rope walk, slapping each other, and crotching each other over the top rope. Matt hit his repeated Northern Light suplexes, but he failed when he tried to do one on Lee and Hobbs. Then, the two behemoths flattened him. Starks and Hobbs got control and worked together to beat down Swerve. Swerve took a beating through the commercial break, but eventually fought back on the Bucks to tag in Lee. Lee ran over everybody with some tackles, and he beeled Starks into the Bucks. Then, he went for a dive, but Hobbs and Starks tripped him up. Nick went for a tope con Grillo, but Lee caught him and powerbombed him into his brother. Hobbs tagged in and faced off with Lee. They laid in on each other with some tackles before simultaneous running crossbodies that took each other out. Hobbs hit a lengthy frog splash on Lee for a near fall. He and Starks worked together to hit a doomsday cutter for another near fall. The Bucks dispatched Starks and Hobbs at one point and started a super kick party on Swerve and Lee, but Lee fired up at one point until a third super kick from Starks actually took him out. He was focused on the Bucks. I like this spot a lot because he's focused on the Bucks. He's like, and then all of a sudden, didn't see it coming from the other guy. There's more super kicks that allowed the Bucks to take control. Then Hobbs fell into the referee. Ref bump. Of course, AEW big title match got to have a ref bump. The Bucks brought the belts into the ring, but Starks stopped them. Swerve grabbed the title belt and teased attacking Keith Lee with it, but then ran right into a low blow from Matt Jackson. I'm like, this is the one thing I didn't like about this entire match. The only thing. They're still teasing dissension for some reason between Swerve and Keith Lee. So Matt cracked everyone with the belt before Swerve for a good near fall. They hit a BTE trigger, and Starks broke up a pin at the last second. Lee intercepted a Meltzer driver, and he and Swerve hit the Doomsday Swerve Stomp for an awesome near fall as Hobbs and Starks broke it up at the very last second. They got to pray to big moves with Hobbs hitting a spine buster on everyone. Starks rolled Swerve up for a 2, then crushed him with a spear for another close near fall. Brandon Cutler then distracted the referee, but inadvertently, this allowed Lee to hit the Bucks with Matt's shoe. Swerve then hit a quebrada off Lee's chest, which was absurd. Then Lee pounced Starks like crazy before landing a preposterous flip dive onto everybody on the outside. Swerve then hit the Swerve Stomp on Starks, pinned him, picked up the win, and became the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. So there we go. We've got new tag team champions right here. Swerve and Keith Lee. And then the show quickly goes off the air. The show then goes quickly off the air because they went overtime. But with that, guys, that was AEW Dynamite. Fyter Fest 1. Overall, I thought it was an entertaining show. There's a lot of continuity things and a lot of things that weren't built properly, and I feel aren't being built properly. And I think it has to do with Tony Khan being too strung out, too much stuff on his plate, not being able to properly, connect all these dots right. So we'll see how it goes. We do have Rampage on Friday. We got a whole other week next week with Fyter Fest week 2, and then next Saturday, a week from this Saturday, is a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. But with that, guys, you know what I thought of the show. Now it's time to hear what you guys thought of tonight's AEW Dynamite. Remember, you can let me know by texting in to 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341. But before we get into the text messages, let's check the polls. We only have one text message about tonight's show. Okay. So as far as the polls do go, 50% liked the Twitch poll. 50% liked it. 38% didn't. And 13 thought it was just all right. As far as the YouTube poll does go, let's refresh that really fast. YouTube poll, 72% liked the show. 18% thought it was just all right. And 10% did not like Dynamite. And finally, as far as second voting on Twitter poll. There we go, Twitter poll. As far as the Twitter poll does go, 73% liked the show, 18% thought it was just all right, and 4% did not like Dynamite. As far as the text messages do go, we got 2 text messages. Here's first it says, do you think it was weird that AEW didn't have their intro song today? Also, I think it's dumb that they named a match Barbed Wire Everywhere match. Well, we don't know what the Barbed Wire Everywhere match is going to be, so can't call it dumb till we see it. And no, it wasn't dumb that they didn't do the normal intro song, because it was supposed to be just a quick, snappy, hey, this is not your normal Dynamite, even though it played as a normal Dynamite. This is Fyter Fest. This person says, to my point. What? That's all I say. To my point. I don't get what that means at all. But with that, guys, that is going to wrap up everything we've got here for AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest Week 1. I want to say thank you for joining me here. If you're watching live, twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited. Or if you're watching and listening later, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Or podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Anchor, iHeartRadio, Google Pod, Apple Pod, and so much more. But with that, guys, have a great night. I will see you next time. Have a good one, guys.